Hello again and welcome to the fifth and final episode in this great series where Bishop Cecil Williams is sharing his life story with scriptural Bible lessons kind of woven in. So for those of you particularly who are from Pakistan or India around there, this will be very interesting for you. And also if you're a young or a newer Christian, listen out especially as you go from 1 to this last one, number 5 of his testimony. Listen out for the biblical lessons that are sprinkled in, because this man has been a Christian many years and been through a lot of different experiences, so it's worth listening to. So Bishop Cecil, would you continue with your story? Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, Andy. This is, in the last episode I told you that what I've been doing in the ministry, but I do want to tell you about 3 very amazing testimonies which obviously are trusting God and have faith in God. And there are, I think, three main things. One is the obedience to God. Second is the trusting God and have faith in God. If we have these 3 things, no satanic power, no demonic power can be against us or do anything to us. Anyway, when I was in England, it was 1 year had passed, because in Pakistan, when I went to get the visa, amazingly the visa officer asked me a question: how much visa do you want? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, how much? But I was confused because I didn't want to come to England. So I told them to give me visa for 1 year only.
Oh my Lord.
Whereas my contract with the church was for 3 years. And I got 1 year visa, and after 1 year I had to go back to Pakistan for some other things. Then I thought that it's better to go here and get my visa extended instead of going back, because from Peshawar we travel very early morning and go to the embassy and stay there and in a queue and this and that. So that was a long process. So I thought it's better to get visa. So myself and my wife, we went to this home office which was in Liverpool. And we went there and we, with our papers and our application, we handed it over to a visa officer, and he said that to go and stay there. There was a waiting area, and there were about, I think, maybe 5 windows perhaps. I don't remember, but not less than 5. And we handed our passport and the papers to the visa officer. Now we were watching that visa officer because we were on the chairs sitting in front of the windows.
Mm-hmm.
Now this visa officer, amazingly, he was all the time walking from one point to the other point, going back and coming, going back and coming, and then coming and sitting, and there was a bottle and there was a glass, and he was drinking something, I don't know what was it. But again and again, after every 5-7 minutes, he would drink something. And I said to my wife, it's a very strange thing. I think we are not going to get the visa here. But anyway, we stood there because I had a 3-year contract, and 1 year I passed, and I applied for 2 more years visa.
Can I just kind of ask something there? You say you had a 3-year contract working as what?
Working as a priest in in the church.
Right. In Leeds.
In St. Martin's Church, the Leeds.
In Leeds, Yorkshire.
Yes,
Okay.
Church of England.
Yeah.
So I needed 2 years visa because according to my contract it was 2 years. No, he was after half year, I think, half an hour passed perhaps, and then he shouted and we went to the window and he said, take your passports. He said nothing else. He said, take your passports. And we took our passports, came back, sat on the seat, and we were a bit, our faces are a bit not happy, you see.
Sad.
Sad what he might have done. Because from his actions, we were not very happy what he was doing. We opened the passport and just looked at the visa. Amazingly, he had granted us 3 years visa instead of 2, 3 years visa.
Wow, fantastic.
Now, this was a purpose of God behind it. We didn't know about it. But God is always working. You see, we are sleeping, we are relaxed, we are... but God is always working. So it was amazing work of God, because now I tell you, 1 year passed, 3 years this, that completes 4 years. And after 4 years, we could get indefinite visa. So that was God's plan. We never applied for it, but God did it through that person.
And that's what happened after 4 years?
Yes, that's what happened. After 4 years, we got this indefinite visa. And after 1 year of indefinite, we got the citizenship.
Wow, fantastic.
So, we do not know God's plans, but God has plans for our lives, and He fulfills it. Now, second amazing thing I tell you, when my work was finished with the Church of England, then I had no work, and I had no income as well. What could I do? I just, to get some advice from the priest who was Englishman, Jim Siller, his name is still alive, Jim Siller. I told him that this is the problem. I have no work, and I do want to continue the work, but my period is over and they are not going to extend my period in the church. He said, okay, I'll try something. Let's see what happens. And then after nearly about 3-4 days, he came to me and he said, I've done something. I said, well, what have you done? He said, well, I have from my own pocket, I have deposited £5,000 for you in the diocesan treasury, and they will be paying you £500 per month for 1 year.
Wow.
He paid it from his own pocket, personal account, you see. It was in 2005. At that time, £5,000 was a big amount. But he never bothered about anything. He, from himself, he made this payment, you see. So, I'm so grateful to him. Although afterwards I requested the PCC of the church and they provided the money for me. That is and I was getting only £500 per month. And I was doing it was God's amazing hand, you see. In £500, I was paying my bills. I was having my food as well on the table. And I was going here and there as well. But I don't know, now I can't think of it.
How you managed?
How I managed in £500. But these 500 pounds per month never finished. You see. It was like the widow of the Zarephath, you see, like that. Our iron didn't finish, and our 500 pounds never finished. Now, this was the second amazing testimony, you see, that God just touched his heart and he did it for me. Now, third thing that I want to, and this was the trust in God, you see, and faith in God. Third thing was that after this 4 years now finished, then I had to move because it was church house and I had to vacate the church house. I had no other place and I had no money to hire a house. And I tried here and there, but I couldn't get a house. You see, I tried from some of the churches if they could, give me a free house, but I couldn't get any. Anyway, now there was a lady, now she has passed away. Her name was Jane Shaw. Jane Shaw was professor in Leeds University, and also she was a priest. And she had gone to South Africa, and she came back, and we were all praying about the house, and there were only 7 days left to vacate the house, you see, and my wife would all the time, day and night, every time, she would say, where will we go, where will we go? And I would say, I don't know where will we go. We don't have a place.
Poor guy.
we don't have a place. If nothing happens, we will pitch a tent on the roadside. That's all that we will
What
do.
did she say to that?
Pitch a tent. Yeah, literally I told her. We will pitch a tent there on the roadside and we will stay there, you see. What can we do? We can do nothing. But trust in God, you see. Trust in God. So, it so happened that that lady, she had gone to South Africa. She came back and she phoned me. And she asked me, is anything now, house or anything available? Have you sorted out something? I said, no, I don't have, I can't sort it out because I don't have money and I can't hire a house, you see. She said, I was praying and God has given me answer. I said, what answer God has given to you? And then she told me, God has told me that you have got a house in Leeds. Why don't you give your house to her? And I was hurt to hear that. That because I knew she had a very good house, 3 bedroom, and front lawn, back lawn, fruit trees, a big garage, and every one and a conservatory as well.
Wow.
Conservatory as well.
Can I ask a question there? How did you know this woman?
Well,
was it through the church or a friend of a friend?
It was through the church. She had worked in Peshawar.
Ah, she'd worked in Pakistan.
Yeah,
Okay.
with I think Save the Children or something like that. She worked there.
Okay.
And she sometimes would come to the cathedral in Peshawar.
Right,
And
where
that's
you
from
were.
But we were not, very close or very friends,
Okay.
you see.
Okay.
Not that. But even then she knew me.
Yeah.
So I said, okay. I said to my son, let's go and just have a look at the house.
Yeah.
Where the house is. So we went to the house and she told me that there is a professor living in that house and I have to give him a notice to vacate the house for 2 months, you see. But
Right.
he may agree to 1 month, but actually it is 2 months. I said, okay, that's okay. So we went to see the house, and we met the lady, his wife. She opened the door, and he said that we will be, sort of hiring this house, and we want to just look at the house. He said, okay, come in, come in. We went inside. We went through there. It was a very good, many cupboards and big 2 bedrooms, quite big, and the third was also quite sizable, not a small room, and
So plenty of space.
plenty of space, 2 toilet down, and upper woman shower and
Goodness
separate
me,
shower,
it's like a little palace.
separate shower, you see, separate shower and a tub shower also there. You see, there were 2 showers, and quite one sizable bathroom, you see, and kitchen of course was quite good. There were fruit trees. I mean, it was very nice, very nice. And she said, okay, you can live in this house for 3 years free,
Wow.
no rent. You can live there for 3 years, free for 3 years. That was a miracle.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
But then I tried, and I tried to, because my age was at the retirement age, and so I could get something from the government as well. So then I managed to give her not the full rent, but a little rent, only 300 pounds. I used to pay in our accounts, you see. So that was also a miracle. I mean, we never knew what is going, where we are going. We had no money. God provided the money.
Yeah.
God provided a house. God provided everything for us. You see, we are so thankful to God that He when we are worried and when we don't know what to do further, God is still working, and He always does the thing for us.
And do you know what I'm reminded as you're sharing this? Somewhere in the Psalms, I can't remember where, but it talks about how God goes before us.
Ah, yes,
You know,
yes.
He
yes.
goes before us.
Yes.
And even that verse in Ephesians chapter 2 verse 10 talks about God's prepared in advance the good works for us to do. So God sees our steps forward, and He knows the future, and He's there in the future, and He calls us to follow Him into the future, that He's there. So that's fantastic.
But I mean, along with all these testimonies, we, myself and my wife, we always prayed for our country, Pakistan, because there is persecution there. I mean, persecution in this way. Actually, I think I don't have the actual number, but in somewhere I read it that it's about 1,000 or something like 500 to 1,000 girls which are forcibly taken, Christian girls, I mean, and they are married and they are converted to Islam, you see, forcibly.
Forcefully.
Yes. So there is a lot of person with other people. There is, and on this brick factories, you see, there are a lot of Christians working there. They are just like slaves there, and they do a lot of torture to them. They sometimes, if they don't make the bricks according to their number, you see, they will cut the hands of those persons.
Goodness.
You see. So it's a lot of persecution on Christian, and they can't do, because those owners of that they are quite influential.
Yeah,
You can't
power.
go anywhere. They have got power.
Yeah.
So, and their girls, you see, they are working. They are raped as well. So women, and there is a lot of these things still going on. Nobody. There is no rule for these factories, for these brick kilns, you see. There is no rule, regulation for those, and all those who work there. I mean, nobody bothers about it. So, and moreover, there are certain other things. But anyway, we pray for those for that country, Pakistan country, because we are brought up there and we have a concern for those
Of course,
brothers, sisters, and
yeah, of
children. You see.
And I'm sure that for people listening who might want to get involved to contribute to helping or trying to solve that problem, persecution, to get involved in it, to highlight it, there are organisations, aren't there, that are trying to do something. I don't know of any offhand, but I'm sure if they search for information online, they could find some Christian organisations who are trying to.
Well, there are certain organisations and they are working.
Yeah.
Doing some work.
Do you know the names of any of these? Or?
Not at the moment.
Okay. Yeah.
But there is one American who has started and he has made a group and he has hired persons in Pakistan who, with the help of police, and they go and then get these families. You see, but they make the payment to the
Right.
to those owners. You see, and
Really? So they actually buy them out of slavery?
They buy them back. You see.
Wow.
And then get them into some work, maybe little shops or these rickshaw or something like that.
Yeah.
They provide them.
Do you know the name of this man? Or the organisation?
I can get, but at the moment I don't know them.
So for anybody listening who's interested in that, go online, type in some information that you've heard here, and I'm sure you'll be able to find that organisation.
Yeah.
Well,
And then I mean, I was talking about the persecution. Persecution is everywhere, and Christian community is at the moment most persecuted community in the whole of the world. Christians are most persecuted, you see, everywhere, in every country.
Yeah.
Whether they are known as Christian countries or not, but they are in Christian countries. This was known as Christian country. There is persecution here as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know many people. I mean, you, Andy, you were arrested by police. Although there is a freedom of speech, but even then you were persecuted only.
In
just
this
telling
country,
the Bible.
In England,
Yeah.
Terrible.
Just telling the people about the biblical truth. You see.
What the Bible says.
What the Bible says. There I know there are other people in Leeds who were arrested.
Yeah.
There are other people in London who were in many other cities.
Yeah.
These Christians are arrested.
And in Europe, I think it's one of the most anti-Christian
Europe.
areas in the whole of Earth now. In some of the Scandinavian countries, pastors have been arrested for speaking up on biblical sexual ethics. You know, the LGBT community. Some of them very hostile towards Christians. The police collaborate with that, arrest people. China, my wife and I, we have very recently had contact. We had a meal with this Chinese couple, a pastor who had to flee China, and he's got temporary residence here. And we were talking and praying with him because he has to make a decision, because his visa runs out in England within a few weeks. So China, a lot of persecution of Christians in China, Europe, England is getting worse and worse and worse for Christians. People sacked from their jobs, all sorts of things. So persecution
everywhere, in even Russia. In Russia there is a lot of persecution of Christians. I mean, these those priests,
Russian Orthodox.
Russian Orthodox,
Right.
you see. Many of them are, because they said the war is not good, you see. And
Okay.
they are arrested.
Really? For speaking up. Yeah.
Only saying one sentence, you see. They are arrested and they are in the jail. So it's everywhere. America, you see, I mean, America is like that. I mean, Europe is, although Europe is, all the European countries are Roman Catholic countries. But even then, there is persecution.
Yeah.
So Christians are the most persecuted community in the whole of the world.
Mm.
And but amazingly, I mean, here in England, the government protects all the religious institutions of every community, but not the Christian community.
Mm.
And this is a strange thing, being a Christian country, you
Yeah.
see. But anyway, so we always, and we should always remember praying for all these countries. And Nigeria, of course, I mean, is the at the moment, Nigeria is the most persecuted. Those Christians are in the whole of the world. Nigeria is the.
I think it's actually in the northern part of
Yes,
Nigeria, isn't it, where
yes.
there is a much larger Islamic community, Muslim community in the north of Nigeria, and there's that awful organisation, Islamic
What is
Boko Haram, who for
Boko
quite a
Haram.
few years have been murdering, burning villages, awful things happening. Yeah.
And not only, I mean, murdering, and they just kidnap the whole of the
Yeah.
schools, you see,
Yeah.
school children,
Yeah,
you
it
see.
happened a few years ago.
Few-
didn't it?
but we will know. I mean, they are doing it, you see. Maybe boys or maybe girls, you see. They take away all these girls. And the government is not active there, you see. Government is not doing anything. And this is happening, you see. So we should always remember. And amazingly, if any community in the whole of the world, if there is any persecution on them, there are so many people speaking in favor of them on the TV here and there,
Yeah.
you see, in the countries, or this thing is happening. But nobody speaks about Christians.
Yeah, that's right.
Nobody speaks
Yeah.
about Christians.
It's very rare. These main organisations in this country, the BBC, Sky News, etc. They will only mention things about Christians being persecuted if they're forced to. In other words, if other news organisations, and if it's a big story, like for example, I remember several years ago, there was a big Pakistani minister, one of the few Christian ministers, who was murdered, assassinated
In Pakistan.
by an Islamic extremist, and because all the other news organisations covered the story, did the BBC actually start to cover it. So our secular anti-Christian mainstream media in this country do all that they can not to mention, discuss or cover news stories related to Christians being persecuted. So for younger new Christians listening to this, you will need to link in with other Christians or Christian organisations like Christian Concern, the Christian Institute, which cover, highlight, talk about the wider Christian community and what's going on, because you won't get it through the mainstream media because they don't care about Christians. Right? Okay, well, I think we will. Is there anything else that you'd
No,
like to share?
that's all. That was the last thing that I wanted to tell the viewers, that we should all pray for this situation and of Christians. You see, the persecution of Christians, which is in the whole of the world. You see, not in one country; it's in every country. You see. But even then, we have this trust and we have this faith that even then God is working, and I think wherever is persecution, there the church grows as well. Wherever the church, there is no persecution in this country. That is not the persecution like in other countries. You see, in Nigeria or in other countries.
Not at the moment. Anyway.
People are comfortable. You see, they don't care. You see.
They don't care. Apathy, and of course
there is no growth of church here.
Exactly. The church becomes apathetic, lazy, and starts dying. Okay, well, we will leave it there. Thank you so much for this 5-part series
Thank you very much.
of your life story. Thank you very much, Bishop Cecil Williams.
And I congratulate my son-in-law for running this channel. You see.
Thank you. Amen.
Amen. Amen.